Destination Careers is a Disney short that was released in 1984. I will say it definitely feels like it was released in the 80s. Directed by Fern, written by Jurgen Wolf, and it's narrated by Casey Kasem. And Kasem is talking to Donald Duck, voiced of course by the brilliant Clarence Nash, and is educating him about the world of careers and encouraging Donald Duck to think about his future career, because you can't just leave school one day and have a career the next. It's something that you have to start laying the bricks for quite early on. And over the course of about 20 minutes, we learn about all different kinds of careers and how to pick a career. And I do think it's a little bit longer than it could have been. I didn't find it that engaging for 20 minutes. Presumably this was supposed to be shown to school-aged children, and if it's not that engaging, they're not really going to pay attention for the full thing and get the full benefit of the messages. So I feel like they could have cut it down a little bit and not really lost anything, and maybe it would have been a bit more impactful. But to be fair, most of the important messages are given quite early on, and that is that you need to start thinking about your career, Donald Duck. And the way you can think about your career is not necessarily to think about this specific job you want, but to start looking at what skills and interests you have and how they can be applied to the world of work. And we see all kinds of video clips demonstrating these different careers. And Donald Duck, of course, has some participation with the narrator. And I thought it was a pretty decent way of getting people to engage in careers, because it is something that is terrifying in a way. I guess if you go to university, for me, I was never necessarily thinking about the exact career I wanted. I was always focusing on what I wanted to do at university, which would then lead me to a career. But if you're the kind of individual who wants to go straight into a job or an apprenticeship after school, then you definitely need to kind of pick a direction as soon as possible. Whereas if you go to university, you can study a subject that's maybe loosely based on various careers, and you have a little bit more time and a bit more breathing space. I like the fact that this focuses on skill sets rather than specific jobs, and highlights the fact that career paths can go in all kinds of different directions. I also have to praise the diversity of jobs, because it is talking about, we get introduced to scientists and people with these really complex jobs, but they also, interestingly, they show a supermarket worker, and it talks about how complex that job is and how you need to be able to adapt your skills very quickly and change jobs quickly, and it's a fast-paced job that requires a certain amount of skill. And I thought, okay, this is great, because you're showing that people who work in supermarkets, grocery stores, it is actually a skilled job, and it's not just something people do when they can't do anything. It does require skill. But at the same time, I thought, is anybody looking at that as a career? Are you really focusing on the right things? Maybe missed the mark a little bit, but I found it to be quite interesting. If I'd been shown this when I was at school, maybe not of the age when you get taught about careers. I think you're maybe, what, 14? I think we were about 14 when we first started to have lessons about careers. I'd say this is probably more beneficial for younger people, given the language and the vocabulary and the way things are explained. But it's never too early to start thinking about your career. Most people get asked what do they want to be when they grow up from the age of about 5 or 6. So it's never too early to start actually thinking about it and actually having a plan. You can divert from that plan, but you can have a plan to begin with. Destination Careers, if you're a fan of Disney, I'd say give it a watch, because Donald Duck is very cute. You may find it engaging. You might even learn about a new career for you. If you're thinking of having a change of careers, it can allow you to think of things from a different perspective. I'm not going to say that I enjoyed it purely from an entertainment perspective, because that would be ludicrous. But I found it informative, well put together, yes, quite dated now, and some shows like this do age very quickly, some not so much. This one, you could definitely tell it was made in the 80s. But I enjoyed it nice enough as a Donald Duck fan and a Disney fan. I can see it being beneficial for younger people, definitely younger children, rather than, unless you have no idea what you want to do, which is the case for a lot of teenagers. If you have no idea what you want to do, it can be helpful. But I think if you've got a general idea, it's not really going to put you on the right path. But for younger children, it can help them to understand the world of work and what jobs entail. And it's not dull. It's a bit long for what it is, but it's not dull. It's quite engaging. I'd say it's worth a watch.